My name is Natalie Bishop. I'm 34 years old, a UX designer who clawed her way out of a trailer park upbringing in Georgia to own a coastal home in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, a place people like me weren't supposed to reach. I married into the Burnham family. Old money, sharp smiles, and unspoken hierarchies. I was never one of them. Not refined enough, not obedient enough, not quiet enough. While they hosted fundraisers and passed down vacation homes, I was the girl fixing her own sink and paying every cent of her mortgage. They saw me as a placeholder. I saw myself as proof you could rewrite your story, until the story turned on me. Last Tuesday, I came home to my dream house and found my mother-in-law rearranging my kitchen, and a voicemail from the bank that would change everything. And that was before I realized my name was no longer on the deed. The front door was already unlocked. A breeze from the marsh rolled through the hallway, dragging in the scent of salt water and something artificial, Miranda's perfume, oversweet, like rotting magnolia. Then I saw them. 2 suitcases, monogrammed, massive, blocking the hallway. One of them was cracked open, a strand of pale cashmere spilling out like intestines. The air snapped tight. "Hope you don't mind," Miranda Burnham said from the kitchen, her voice smooth like lacquer, emotionless. The drive back to Charlotte was too much for Victor's back again. "We thought we'd stay a few days. Make it easier for everyone." She wore my apron. My fingers twitched around the grocery bag. "Miranda," I said slowly, "this isn't a good." "Natalie, relax. It's not permanent." She stirred something on the stove. The ladle wasn't hers. That was my olive wood ladle. "This house was always too big for just the 2 of you. It's better this way. Fuller. Fuller." Something inside me slipped. A click in my ribs. Then my phone rang. Bank of Coastal Carolina. "Ms. Bishop, this is Cheryl from the Mortgage Servicing Department. We've attempted to reach you several times regarding a foreclosure notice." My heart stuttered. "I think you have the wrong file," I said, stepping outside, breath sharp. "My home is fully paid off."
Pause.
"No, ma'am," Cheryl said carefully. "There was a refinance initiated last month. Your name is listed as secondary now. The primary borrower is Nolan Burnham." I couldn't speak. "Ma'am, we're moving into pre-foreclosure unless this is resolved within 10 days.
Cut scene.
Inside, Nolan laughed at something Victor said. The TV blared a sports channel. Miranda poured herself a glass of my favorite white wine, without asking. Every moment felt scripted.
But not by me.
My hands were shaking when I opened the file drawer in the hallway. I kept all financials in that drawer. Labeled. Secured. The folder marked property and loan docs was misaligned. Inside, new documents. Mortgage statements I had never seen. Signatures. My signature. But not mine. The loops in the B were too tall. The slant too sharp. I grabbed the papers, marched outside. Miranda turned, already smiling. "Darling, you look pale. Sit, have a drink." Nolan stood, brushing off his jeans like he was about to offer help. I slapped the folder against his chest. "You refinanced the house without telling me?" He froze. Victor looked over his sunglasses. Miranda sighed. "There's no need for drama." I laughed. A short, humorless exhale. "This isn't drama. This is fraud." A cardinal shrieked in the distance. A dog barked. No one moved. "You never wanted to build a life with me," I said, voice low. "You wanted to fold me into yours." Nolan's jaw twitched. His voice was low, patronizing. "We need to talk." "That's not my signature," I whispered, just as my husband turned and said, "We need to talk." The silence between us wasn't silence. It was a threat in disguise. Nolan held the folder like it might explode. His thumb ran over my forged signature. "You're being dramatic," he said. "It's just a refinance." "A refinance?" My voice cracked into a sharp laugh. "Of a house that was fully paid off. Without telling me." He didn't flinch. "It's under control," he added, too calm. "Victor helped. It's temporary. You'll get it."
Victor.
"Of course."
Cut.
Victor sat by the fireplace like a king. Cigar smoke drifted into the ceiling beams, lazy and unapologetic. Miranda poured herself a second glass of wine, not offering me one. "You should be grateful," she called. "This home is finally being used properly." They didn't see it. The violation. The collapse of trust. They saw me as ungrateful. "You don't touch someone's home," I muttered, "unless you plan to bury them in it."
Cut scene.
I locked myself in my office. The sound of Miranda humming, off-key and smug, bled through the walls. I slid open the second drawer. Password folder. Backup USB. Bank logins. I checked everything. 3 alerts blinked red. New joint bank account. Unfamiliar email address. Secondary signer added to property line. Lydia Burnham. Blood drained from my face. My voice, flat in the silence. They added her to the deed.
Ping.
Text from Maya, "You okay? Still need help going through those docs?" I typed fast, "Need you."
Now.
Cut to my car. Backing out of the driveway. Victor's eyes in the mirror, following. A flick of his fingers. Like brushing lint from a coat. Dismissing me. "You ever feel like you're a guest in your own life?" I asked Maya when I pulled into her driveway. She looked at me. "Only when someone's already stolen the house." Inside, we spread the documents on her kitchen island. Yellow light. Shadows twitching. I scanned each form while Maya circled items in red ink. "This is premeditated," she said. "All of it." The mortgage note was filed from a shell company, Silver Tide Holdings. Located in Nevada. A known tax haven. Low oversight. High secrecy. "Why Nevada?" I asked. "Because it's where people hide things they never want you to find." I went cold. Maya paused. Her finger landed on a stamp. "Notarized 2 weeks ago. While you were in New York." My head spun. "There's more," she said, pointing. "This document added Lydia as co-signer. And that," she flipped another, "shows Nolan withdrew equity and rerouted it to an AMC, Burnham Capital Trust." Every breath felt heavier. Miranda's voice echoed in my head. "It's not permanent. They never intended for me to stay. I was the bridge.
The bait.
The buffer. Not the wife." I opened my laptop. Logged into our shared Google Drive. A document loaded. A spreadsheet. Transfers. Payments. Withdrawals. One-line item. $350,000 wire transfer overseas account. Labeled. Investment realignment. Authorized. Authorized by who? I scrolled. My name. My digital signature. But I hadn't touched it. Maya leaned in. "That's not your e-signature protocol. Look, timestamps don't align with your usual login." This was spoofed. The walls pressed in. "They're setting me up," I said. "To look complicit," she nodded. "Which means they're about to make their final move."
Cut scene.
Back at the house. I returned with the folders zipped into my coat. I planned to go upstairs. Quiet. Careful. But the front door was open. Inside, Miranda stood near my office door. Open. The drawer I'd locked, ajar. She held my olive-wood box. "Natalie," she said, smiling tightly. "You really should be more careful with sensitive materials." I stared at the open drawer. She had keys. All of them did. "They didn't break in with force," Maya said. "They had keys." Miranda's smile didn't reach her eyes. It never did. She slid the olive-wood box back into the drawer, like she owned it. Like I wasn't standing there, jaw clenched, pulse thudding in my neck. "You know, Natalie," she said, smoothing her blouse, "some people collect secrets like jewelry. But I prefer something with resale value."
Cut scene.
I locked the door behind me. My hands shook as I dumped the contents of the box on the bed. Flash drives. Backup codes. A notarized copy of our original deed. I checked the seal. It was still valid. Dated 2 years ago. Then I pulled up the scanned title file from the county clerk's portal. The updated version was dated 4 weeks ago. One signature, Nolan. One witness, Lydia. Notarized. By a name I didn't recognize. I hit print. The printer clicked. Mechanical. Unfeeling. Paper slid out. I grabbed the page, heart hammering.
And stopped. There. Fine print.
Bottom left corner. Title transfer subject to beneficiary clause under escrow agreement, Silver Tide Holdings, LLC. Same company Maya flagged. My name wasn't there. I no longer legally own the home.
Breathe. Focus.
People only destroy what they fear.
Cut.
I texted Maya. Meet me in 30. Bring your scanner.
We met at an outdoor cafe.
I slid the paper across the table. Maya's lips tightened. This closet's buried. Hidden under layered filing. Someone wanted this to go unnoticed. Until it was too late. Exactly. She scanned with her phone, encrypted it, sent it to a private investigator she trusted in Atlanta. I watched her screen as the file uploaded. Sometimes, she said, they don't lock the vault. They just hide it behind mirrors. I blinked. How do I undo this? You don't. You expose it.
Cut scene.
Back at home. Nolan sat on the back porch, swirling whiskey. He didn't flinch when I dropped the papers on the table beside him. You lied to me, I said. No, he said slowly. I spared you the panic. I stared at him. You forged my name. He didn't deny it. I gave you this house, I said. I built our life here. His eyes flicked up. And now it's saving ours. That's when I knew. This wasn't neglect. It was strategy. He needed me out of the way.
Cut.
I checked our shared Google Drive again. New folder. Password protected. Labeled Contract Final. Burnham Capital Trust. I cracked the password. Inside. Wire transfers, property liens, shell invoices. A list of beneficiaries. Every Burnham name but mine. Then a sound behind me. The click of a door shutting.
Spoon.
Lydia stood at the threshold. Some truths, she said, voice like ice, should stay buried with the people who don't know how to use them. My spine went rigid. What is Silver Tide Holdings? I asked. She smiled. An asset manager, she said. One that prefers quiet women and obedient paperwork. She walked away. I stared after her and noticed something I hadn't before. A photo on the hallway wall, crooked. I adjusted it. Behind it, a small router. Hidden. A blinking red light. Recording. Motion triggered. They'd been watching me. Every move. Every login. Every file I touched. I yanked the plug. And called Maya. They're not just inside my house, I whispered. They're inside my life. Natalie, there's one more thing, Maya said. Your name is no longer on the title. The wind slammed against my rental's windows. Rain spat sideways across the Charleston streets. Every shadow seemed alive. Maya slid the encrypted folder across the cafe table. My hands hovered over it, trembling. They're not just moving money, she said. They're moving the house itself.
Cut scene.
I clenched my fists. A house can't move. They can make it vanish from your name, Maya replied, calm. Legally. With the right papers, the right shell companies. And they have both. I blinked. I had known tension before, but this was cold, systematic, inescapable. We need to trace Silver Tide Holdings, she said. Nevada.
Offshore. No oversight.
Perfect cover. My heart pounded. Do they know we're looking? Maya's eyes flicked toward the street. They always know.
Cut.
Back home. Or what was left of it. The foyer smelled like lemon furniture polish.
Clean.
Too clean. Victor lounged on the sofa. Derek hovered by the bar cart. Miranda drifted between them like a phantom. I dropped the folder. You did this. Miranda tilted her head. Did what? The refinance. The shell companies. The transfers. My voice cut like glass. You erased me. Victor sipped bourbon, eyes cold. Erased is a strong word. Let's call it reallocation. I laughed, short and bitter. Reallocation. To steal my life.
Cut scene.
I ran to the office. Keys in hand. Locked the door behind me. Pulled out my laptop. Logged into our shared Google Drive. Files were there. New. Encrypted. Time-stamped while I slept. Someone had been in my account. Watching. Adjusting. I opened the newest PDF.
Wire transfers.
Title amendments. A map of property leans across 3 states. And in small print, beneficiary, Burnham Capital Trust. Authorized by Nolan Burnham. Every muscle tensed. A voice in my head whispered, "Power hides in paperwork, not pistols."
Cut.
The back door creaked.
Ispun.
Empty. Only the shadows of the magnolia tree swaying in the storm.
Breathe.
Then the phone buzzed. Text from Maya, check your email.
Now.
I opened it. CSV attachment. List of transactions. Offshore accounts. Every line tied to Victor and Derek. And me? Missing. I slammed the laptop shut. Heart racing. Breath short. To a future we can't escape, I muttered, recalling something I'd read once. Except we can. We just have to move faster.
Cut.
I grabbed my coat. SUV waiting. Engine cold. I drove through rain-slick streets, headlights cutting through darkness. Every turn, every stop sign felt like a countdown. A shadow flickered in my rear-view mirror.
No plate.
No lights on, but it followed.
Cut.
At Maya's apartment, we pored over the documents again. She pointed to a transfer dated the night before. Look, they backdated it to make it look like you signed while in New York. I leaned back, trembling. So they've been planning this all along. Yes, she said. And now they've set the trap. A sudden ping. My phone vibrated violently. Unknown number. I answered. No voice. Only static. Then a whisper. Stop digging, Natalie. Or everything disappears. I slammed the phone down. Cold sweat. Pulse hammering.
Cut scene.
Maya grabbed my arm. This isn't just about money anymore. It's about control. I nodded. I've never been the kind to be erased quietly. We need proof beyond doubt, she said. Or they'll bury you under paperwork you can't undo. I remembered the router behind the crooked hallway photo. The one blinking red. Motion sensor. Recording. Watching. Always. We pulled the plug. Silence. A pause that felt heavier than any threat. My phone rang again. This time from my own line. Caller ID. Home number. I picked up. Static. A whisper again. They're inside your life.
Cut.
I looked at Maya. Eyes wide. They have keys. And worse, she said. They have leverage. I swallowed hard. They're not just inside my house. They're inside my life. Rain-slicked streets blurred into streaks of light as I drove. Every shadow felt alive. Every car behind me a threat. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles bled through my gloves. They think fear is enough to cage you, I muttered, voice sharp. But fear is only the beginning.
Cut scene.
Maya's apartment was dark when I arrived. She greeted me with a steaming mug of coffee, her eyes scanning my face. I checked the county filings, she said. They're moving fast. Pre-foreclosure could hit by tomorrow morning if we don't act. I set the folder down. My pulse thundered. Then we move faster. She tapped her tablet. Maps.
Wire transfers.
Bank accounts in Delaware, Nevada, even the Caymans. They've got layers. Shell companies everywhere. Every transaction legal on paper. But it's all tied to your house. Control hides in paperwork, not pistols, I whispered. The words felt true more than ever.
Cut.
I was halfway through drafting emails to the IRS when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Text. Stop digging, Natalie. Or everything disappears. Static lingered like a warning. Every choice has consequences, Maya said. Are you ready for yours? I didn't answer. I didn't move. My laptop glowed in the dark. I could feel the surveillance, the cameras, the people watching, listening. Every keystroke recorded. Every file I opened analyzed.
Cut.
The next morning, I drove toward the office of Silver Tide Holdings. The building loomed, a glass tower, reflective, unfeeling. Security cameras tracked my every step. The lobby was empty, except for one man behind a desk. "Can I help you?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "I need copies of the transaction records for Burnham Capital Trust. All transfers in the last 6 months." He hesitated, hand on the phone. "I don't think." I cut him off. "It's a legal matter. Federal investigation. Or I can call the authorities." He swallowed hard and led me to a locked cabinet. Keys jangled. Documents slid into my hands.
Cut scene.
I flipped through a bundle of PDFs and invoices. Every line linked back to the Burnhams. Offshore accounts. Rerouted mortgage payments. And then, a document buried under 20 pages, a notarized statement linking Victor, Derek, and Lydia to an investment fraud scheme using my house as collateral. I froze. "They've been laundering money through our family," I whispered. "And I was collateral." Maya leaned over my shoulder. "You're not collateral anymore. You're evidence."
Cut.
Back in my car. Rain drumming the roof. Rear view mirror. A black SUV. Following. I slammed the gas. Heart hammering. Streets became a blur. Headlights cut through the darkness. Every intersection, a decision. Every turn, a trap. I remembered something my grandfather used to say. "Justice is a tide. It comes, even if you think it won't." I dialed Maya. "They're on me." Black SUV.
No plats.
Following. "Keep driving. Don't stop. We're going to send this to the feds. Right now."
Cut.
We met at an abandoned warehouse Maya had access to. I laid the documents on a metal table. The fluorescent light above flickered. Shadows stretched like fingers across the concrete floor. Maya's finger traced the lines. Wire transfers, false signatories, shell companies. They've been careful. Too careful. But they left a breadcrumb. I leaned closer. "What breadcrumb?" She held up a thumb drive. "The real beneficiary account. Hidden in plain sight. And it points to Victor directly." My chest tightened. "Then we expose it."
Cut scene.
I sent the data to an anonymous federal contact Maya trusted. Encrypted emails. Every timestamp verified. Every signature cross-checked. Then silence. A whisper from the warehouse doorway. Elias Kane. The Burnhams' junior associate. I had suspected him, doubted him. He raised his hands.
"I'm helping."
"I'm tired of watching them destroy everything." I studied him. Every muscle tense. Every blink measured. "Then prove it."
Cut.
The warehouse doors slammed. A car outside.
Then.
Headlights slicing the darkness. The SUV. The one following me. I grabbed the documents. Ran to the exit. Elias at my side. The SUV's tires hissed on wet asphalt. A figure leaned out, impossible to see. The engine roared. Tires screeched. My heart skipped. Maya's words echoed. "Sometimes you have to step into the storm to see the sky." And I did. I bolted into the alley. My lungs burned. My hands wet from the rain and adrenaline. A sharp turn. The SUV struggled behind me, spinning slightly, lights blinding.
Cut.
I ducked into the shadows, heart hammering, breath sharp. The rain-slick pavement reflected neon from a distant sign. Every step I took measured, calculated. And my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Text. "We're closer than you think. Stop now, or it ends differently." I pressed my back against the wall, shaking, eyes darting. Rain plastered my hair to my forehead. "They're not just outside my house," I whispered to myself. "They're outside my life, too." The courthouse lights flickered as we approached. Rain had stopped, but the streets still shimmered wet, reflecting neon and police cruisers. Every shadow looked alive. Every sound echoed suspicion. I gripped the folder tight, my knuckles white. Maya at my side, whispering, "Once we walk through that door, there's no going back." Cut scene. Inside, cameras swiveled. Flash bulbs popped. Reporters scribbled. Phones recorded. The Burnhams sat at the defense table, stiff, confident. Victor's cigar smoke lingered, as if daring me to flinch. Derek avoided my gaze. Miranda smiled too sweet, but her eyes were cold steel. The judge entered. Gavel down. Courtroom silence. I laid the documents on the desk.
Wire transfers.
Shell companies. Forged signatures. All encrypted, time-stamped, verified. Every path led to one fact. My house had been used as a tool for fraud, laundering money, and coercion. This is not just a dispute over ownership, I said, voice steady despite the storm in my chest. This is criminal misconduct. And I have evidence.
Cut.
Victor leaned forward, smooth. My daughter-in-law is making wild accusations. Not accusations, I said. Facts. Look at the digital trail. I handed the court a tablet. Swipe after swipe, data revealed. Emails, bank transfers, shell companies, notarized documents forged under duress. Every piece connected. Maya whispered. Justice is patient, Natalie. It waits for the right move. I nodded. I had waited too long.
Cut scene.
The courtroom doors burst open. FBI agents in suits moved with precision, gathering documents, taking statements. The Bunhams froze. Derek paled. Miranda's hand trembled on the table. Victor's jaw tightened like steel. Every move we had predicted. Every file, every timestamp, every witness validated. A slow smile crept across my face. Power hides in paperwork, I said quietly, but it bends to truth.
Cut.
Outside, the press swarmed. Flashbulbs.
Shouts.
Questions. My house was secure. The Bunhams were in custody, charged with fraud, financial manipulation, and forgery. I walked away from the courthouse. Rain-slick streets. Neon reflections. Every step light, but heavy with meaning. I remembered something I had read once. You can't steal someone's soul without leaving a trace of your own weakness. Every shadow behind me, every gaze lingering, felt powerless. I had exposed the truth. I had reclaimed the home that had been my sanctuary.
Cut scene.
Back at my house. The door was mine. Keys in hand, heart racing. I stepped inside. Silence.
Perfect.
The scent of the sea drifted through open windows. Sunlight cut through clouds, glinting across the hardwood. I moved through the rooms, touching the counters, the floors, the kitchen I had chosen. Everything was intact. Every corner mine again. Every shadow safe. I sat in the breakfast nook, coffee in hand, breath slowing. I whispered to myself, they broke in with lies. I rebuilt with truth.
Cut.
The wind rattled the windows, a faint echo of what had passed. I smiled. For the first time in months, I felt grounded, unshakable. My phone buzzed.
Maya.
Well done. You survived them all. I typed back. No one can cage a life built with its own hands.
Cut scene.
The house stood quiet, the marsh behind it reflecting the afternoon sun. Every creak, every breeze, every shadow belonged to me. And for the first time, I realized power isn't about who enters your home. Power is about who holds the keys, inside and out. I leaned back, eyes closed, breath steady, heart steady. Justice. Reclamation. Freedom. Finally.